Okay. Okay. So we're going to discuss Jewish food and delicatessens and what goes on to them. So welcome once again. I have a short trailer that I found. I think you'll find it a little bit hilarious.
Excuse me?
Oh, thank you so much. It's the kosher meal.
Yes, sir, that is our kosher meal.
Shalom. Is this the kosher meal?
Yes, sir, that's our kosher meal.
What's the name of it?
Gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish. Lots and beans. This is my favorite. What's the name of this stuff?
Gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish. Oh, what's the name of this fish?
Gefilte fish.
Gefilte. Gefilte? You know what this is? What is it?
Gefilte fish.
It's filter fish. Filter fish. You want some of my filter fish? You want any of this? What's the name of the fish?
Gefilte fish. Gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish. All right, okay.
I love this stuff.
I really don't. You have black people all over the world eating this. We eat some lots of things. I have some guilty fish.
So the deli businesses are food service establishments that specialize in offering a wide variety of hot and cold sandwiches, soups, salad. They typically operate as a takeout or dining restaurant, although some may offer catering services. The most popular items on a deli menu are typically cold and hot sandwiches made with meats, cheeses, and vegetables. Other popular items may include soup, salad, side dishes such as potato chips and coleslaw. The success of a deli business often depends on menu development. Delis regularly assess customer preferences and trends in food and adjust their menu offerings accordingly. This may involve adding new items or removing items that are not selling well. Delis also consider availability, cost of ingredients, food prep time, and presentation when creating their menu. Jewish deli food is a subset of Jewish cuisine that originated in the Eastern European Jewish communities of the 19th and early 20th centuries. It is characterized by hearty and flavorful dishes, often served in large portions. Some of the most popular Jewish deli dishes include pastrami and corned beef sandwiches, matzo ball soup, knishes, and pickled foods such as pickles, sauerkraut, and beets. The term delicatessen comes from the German word delicacies and refers to a type of food store that specializes in offering cured meats, cheeses, and other specialty food items. Jewish delis were a staple of the Jewish immigrant communities in the United States and continue to be a beloved aspect of Jewish cuisine. Jewish deli food continues to be part of Jewish cuisine, with many modern delis still offering traditional dishes alongside contemporary twists. Jewish delis have also had a significant impact on American cuisine, with many of their dishes, such as the Reuben sandwich, becoming popular across the country. The origin of the Reuben sandwich is somewhat disputed, but it's generally believed to have originated in the United States in the early 20th century. There are two main stories about the origin of the Reuben sandwich. One credits a New York City grocer named Arnold Reuben with inventing the sandwich in 1914. Other credits an Omaha, Nebraska restaurateur named Reuben Kulakowski with creating the sandwich for a group of his friends in the 1920s. The classic Reuben sandwich typically consists of corned beef, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, and Thousand Island dressing served on rye bread. Over the years, many variations of the Reuben sandwich have emerged, including the use of pastrami instead of corned beef, and the addition of other ingredients such as lettuce and tomato. Despite its uncertain origin, the Reuben sandwich has become a staple of deli menus and continues to be a popular sandwich across the United States and beyond. It is often served hot with cheese melted and is often prepared with potato chips or coleslaw and always piled high. The Reuben sandwich represents an intersection of Jewish and American cuisines and is a testament to the enduring influence of Jewish cuisine on American food culture. My special guest today is George Garcia, owner of Miracle Mile Deli on 16th Street right here in Phoenix. His wife Jill is also here with us with Pinky. George, welcome to our discussion. I've known George for some time now, and I'm fascinated with his rags to riches story from a teenager born in Mexico, coming here to Phoenix and making it. George is also a fixture right here in Phoenix and is active in many fields. Of course, the deli business, as well as the arts, theater, a volunteer for the city of Phoenix, and tutoring children and more. George, welcome, and go ahead and give us your story. And once done, we'll open it to Q&A.
Thank you, Izzy. First of all, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to join you guys. When Izzy first mentioned Smile on Seniors, I had no idea what this was all about, and now I appreciate all the work and time that he has spent on it. But anyway, Izzy wanted to, for me to mention my life in the deli business. And I started working for my father-in-law when I was 15 years old. I was first, at 15 years old, I was very shy and kind of a scared teenager, not knowing, what was going on. My first real job really was a newspaper boy, if you can even imagine that. At 13 years old, at 5:30 in the morning, delivering newspapers. And I thought, wow, I like having money in my pocket. But my real job then became Miracle Mile after that. And I was 15. And my sister actually called me. She says, George, they need a dishwasher at one of the catering jobs. Can you come over? And sure enough, that's where I met my father-in-law. I wasn't even know that he would become my father-in-law, is he? But anyway, Jack Krasinski was his name. He used to do all the catering at the Bethel Synagogue and also at the Jewish Community Center. So that was my first introduction, and I was the dishwasher. Boy, there was a lot of dishes to wash because he did a lot of events. So it was my first introduction to this type of food. I'd never eaten this type of food before. So, but wow, it really changed my life. So anyway, from the washing dishes at the synagogue Jewish Community Center, I went to work for his restaurant, which was my first job at the Miracle Mile Deli at Christown Shopping Center. And that was back in the early 70s. And boy, I tell you, I thought that washing dishes in the back at the Jewish Community Center or the synagogue was something. This was completely something else, because this was a real deli. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's my chance to kind of, make some extra money for the high school. So anyway, that was my first introduction. I'm not even going to mention that I almost got fired once because I had a big spill out on the dance floor at the synagogue once, and my father-in-law just shook his head going, oh my gosh, oy vey. But anyway, I still ended up with a job, and it was a great opportunity for me, learning the business and supplying myself with some income during high school years, which, everybody needs the money. But anyway, my life there was really a big turnaround. First of all, I'd never eaten brisket. And I was introduced to brisket. That was my first sandwich I ever ate there. And I had a brisket sandwich on a roll with French fries and a pickle. I thought I died down to heaven. Oh my God, it was so good. I'd never had anything like that. So here we are. George has his first meal. Well, for the next 3 months, that's all I ate. Every time I worked, brisket sandwich, French fries, and a pickle. And I was made fun of. The guys in the back would say, George, change it up a little. I said, but this is so good. Try something else. You'll like it. You'll like it. Sure enough, that was my introduction. And boy, I was changed. Never had anything like that in my life. But, so growing up, Issy wanted to share, my family came from Mexico. And I was probably 6 years old, didn't speak the language. My family came over from Mexico only because I came from a divorced parents. So everybody came here with my father because my father had family here. And so we came to live here in the US, and boy, did it change my life. And learned to speak the language, went through school, grade school, high school, some of my college years here. And of course, then I graduated from Deli school. I say I graduated. I don't know if I want to say that, but anyway, that became my life. People feel comfortable and people stay and people feel welcome. And that's how I felt at the Deli. It was a camaraderie. It was people that, first of all, it was fast paced. And you kind of like that when you're young, you know, it's go, go, go. So it was very, very good. But anyway, back to coming here and being here, it was a real challenge. And you have to overcome those challenges and you strive. And that was my goal, is you gotta learn the language, you gotta feel comfortable. You don't want to be teased as a youngster and made fun of. So I really tried to educate myself and bring myself up. There was there was no translators. So either sink or swim, as they say, and that's the way it happened to be. So going through grade school, catching up, and then after grade school, doing high school, and that was when I started working at the Deli. And at the Deli, you know, working behind a 20-foot counter with 3 really older, educated deli men from back east. There was Max, there was Benny, and there was Paul. And each one had their own little glitch of you know, introduction. So my introduction to that food, or the Jewish food, was, Georgie, come here. I said, what's up? Try this. I said, what is it? You'll like it. Never mind, you'll like it. Whether it was lox, whether it was halva, whether it was chopped liver, whether it was potato salad, you name it, I tried it. And I either liked it or didn't like it, but that became my little thing. Every week, every time I worked, there was something new to try. And that's how I started learning. So from growing up there, I became a dishwasher. I became later on working out at our hot dog stand that was there. This was in a shopping center, so very high volume. You could have anywhere from 500, 600, 700 people daily or more, depending on what was coming in. So very fast paced. So learned the hot dog stand, learned the deli from these older guys, and boy, you had to move it. Also learned how to work the counter line. Our type of style, or a deli, is a sandwich line. So there's positions for everyone so that we become efficient. The people don't wait for their food very long. And it just becomes a very streamlined movement from start to finish so that people can get fed. And so that was an interesting thing. From there on, I went to cook, and we had a 12 by 15-foot kitchen in there. Everything was in there. Everything we produced had to be in there, whether it was refrigerators, stoves, ovens, dishwasher. Everything had to be produced from that little room. So it was tight quarters, but we made it. So throughout the years, I started learning and educating myself on the deli. And that's how I became experienced. And so much so that it became my life for a big part of I guess probably through high school and part of my college years, because that supplied me the income for me to go to school. The deli has become a stepping stone for many, many people throughout our years. We've been around for 74 years now. My father-in-law started in 1949 with the deli. And during that time, the amount of employees that he has hired and have gone through during that time is phenomenal. We've had doctors, lawyers, we have nurses, we have businessmen, we have bankers, people that got their start. Why? Because my father-in-law was smart enough to say, you know what, give everybody an opportunity and let them earn some money. So I felt very comfortable in doing that. And besides, I like having money in my pocket, because growing up from a poor family, I come from a family of 12 kids, and I was in the middle sometimes. So there was always a challenge. There was always, hey, is there going to be more later? That type of question. So I made myself say, you know what, I'm always going to have something in my pocket, because this is much better than having nothing. So you push yourself to do that. Anyway, the deli created that for me and for a lot of my friends. Through high school, I had several friends from different high schools that worked there. Boy, if I could tell you stories of each one of us that went through it and experienced that, it was phenomenal. I call it the school of hard knocks. And I'm reading some of my notes because if you're in business, you have to be able to wear all the hats that go with it. And those of you that have been in business, those of you that have gone through this, you're not just a business owner. You have to become a darn good leader as a manager of any group of people to be able to steer them in the right direction. You become the employee shrink, and because you got to help them out. And in order to keep them and keep their heads going in the right direction, you have to listen to them. You have to make them not only just your employees, but part of your group. And that was one of the biggest things that impressed me with this type of business. As a business owner, you also become an electrician, a plumber, a maintenance expert, and of course the HR department.
And the broom.
Always the broom. Oh yeah, especially cleaning toilets, never be too proud. You learn to deal with legal negotiations as well as accounting, budgeting, and then of course an expert in purchasing. The book learning is always different in reality where we live. And I make that as a little note for myself, because no matter what I learned in school, and I took a couple of business classes in college, and the book teaches you one thing, but reality is completely something else, because you're dealing with people face to face and try to communicate and sell yourself and convince them that you're the real thing. So it's a matter of what you want it to be. I was going to tell Izzy that the business today is so different and so challenging for so many people ever since COVID, since the new generation coming in thinks differently. They want it now, they want it instant, and they want it to happen immediately. And we have to be patient. We have to be patient. So the business has been good to me. I feel I've been good to the business. Customer service for any business is so important, as you probably all know better than I do. A lot of people used to say, "Are you from back east?" I said, "No." But I was surrounded by these people from back east, whether it was my father-in-law, whether it was our manager, Phil, whether it was Max, Benny, or Paul. These guys were, typical rough New Yorkers. And, I believe it. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. That was them. They were very experienced and very patient with me. I'm going to add one more little thing, Issy, and that's I try to share with my son, and I always tell him, I said, good business is establishing strong, honest relationships with your purveyors as well as your customers. Relationships and loyalty with the people you deal with day to day make life, business, a pleasure, and long-lasting friendships and support when you need it. And I think that's what's made us and kept us for 74 years, is we have a lot of loyal following and people that come back. And I could share stories with you that, stick out in people's minds every time they come. They want to share something with you. So, Issy, please ask me any questions you want.
Yes,
Anybody?
two questions came up.
Sure.
As a young boy that came from Mexico, you went in the kitchen, you saw these guys with big knives. Did they ever threaten you?
I was lucky. There were some threats because, when you go in the kitchen, they have these 10-inch chef's knives. And the first thing you look at, you go, you don't want to mess with that guy. We had a guy named Tony that used to work for us for Central location. And Tony, this guy was so good. He was so experienced. He started 17 working for my father, but he had a 12-foot kitchen knife. He could talk to you, take your order, slice a roll without looking at the same time. So you go, you don't mess with that guy. And my wife, Jill, could tell you, come on, Jill, move it. You're slowing up the line. So, yeah.
So the other question I would like to ask you is, Reuben sandwich,
Yes.
how do you stack it that high? Because if I try to put it in my kitchen, anything more than 2 pieces, it falls to pieces. So what goes into it making that sandwich 6 inches high?
It's all about how you slice it. Now, over the years, the delis have changed, mainly because we've got automatic slicers now, whereas it used to be by hand. You can slice by hand, you can still do it. It's going to take you a while, but it's thicker. But we find that pastrami with corned beef, even brisket, when you slice it on these slicers, it gives you a nice thin on the opportunity to stack it and really create it. And also, it's just as juicy, when you bite into it. So
Good. Jill, would you like to add a few words there? Thanks.
Okay, go, Jill.
Do you have a specific topic?
Yes.
How do husbands and wives work together?
that's a good one.
Yes.
We worked together a long time. I was 12 and he was 15 when he first started working for my dad. So my parents always loved George because he was such a hard worker from the day he walked in the door. Of course, when you're 12 and 15, you don't really know that's who you're going to marry till way later. But
you don't mess with the boss's daughter.
Mess with the boss's daughter, right? So you have to focus on keeping it separate. You've got to keep the business separate from your personal relationship, and yet you're in the same business together. So you have to have the same goals, and you have to be really, really best friends. I mean, sounds very cliche, but it's very true.
Okay. Anybody who has any questions for either George or Jill, unmute your microphones and go ahead.
You all know where to unmute your
Yeah.
pictures, so go ahead.
Stan,
Oh, well,
As-
when I was working,
as the
can you
super
hear me?
senior.
when I was working in Manhattan, there was a Reuben's that specialized in Reuben sandwiches on the corner of 58th and Fifth Avenue. It was there for many years. It ended up being closed for health reasons.
You see, we are both from New York. And so, you know, like we know the Carnegie Deli, the Sage Deli, but the Second Avenue Deli was fantastic.
Second Avenue and 10th Street, yeah. But I grew up, when I was a kid, I had a 15-cent lunch. 5 cents for the hot dog, 5 cents for the French fries, and 5 cents for the soda.
Just a little
And I'm
tiny.
that old.
So now, Nitskis, you have to come to Miracle Mile on 16th Street and have a delicious pastrami sandwich.
Yes, definitely. We're
But
going to do
But
that.
I grew up in an era where the delis, particularly when I was in the Bronx, they were all kosher delis. I mean, there was no cheese on the sandwich.
No,
Oh, I mean, that you had to go into Manhattan to find places like that.
right. Right. We're just kosher style because we serve.
Yeah, well, Fine and Shapiro, which you had in one of the things that you showed, we were in that place on Broadway,
Yeah.
and it was Stiller and Mira, the comedians.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller and his sister were coming out, and the daughter got her hair caught in a button on my coat.
Oh my gosh.
I was going over the thing, and Jerry Stiller says to me, "Just yank it."
Wow. That's amazing. You didn't even have a conversation with him. That's so cool.
It was a short conversation.
Doesn't matter. You still got to talk to him. That's so cool.
Your claim to fame.
Yeah.
Yep. Anybody else? Don't be shy.
Do you
Dennis,
have any
take it away.
family?
Hi, Dennis.
Go
Yeah, I have
ahead.
a question. I have a question on pastrami.
Yes.
Is the pastrami made cured in the individual delis, or is it bought that way?
Well, originally it was pickled. And then after it was pickled, it was smoked. They used to hang it up in smokehouses. So that process is so long. Now the new process, the pickling process on a pastrami navel is now injected. They have these special machines that inject the brine, and then they put them into tumblers. And in those tumblers, that gets the pickling process done much quicker. And then we go through so much pastrami. We go through between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds of pastrami in 1 month. So it's a huge amount of product. And that's just on a normal month. If it's a holiday or you know, during November, December, you can double and triple that amount. And that's just pastrami alone. So when you go through that much, you don't have the time to pickle it and last that long. Like the old days, they used to put them in barrels. So you rely on this company to create the pickling process for you. And then what they do is they ship you the product ready to go. Then you have to steam it to perfection. And that's the process now that every deli goes through. The old days, it was wonderful. It was great. But, you know, to be able to come up with the capacity to handle that product, you really have to move it.
Jack, you wanted to ask something?
2 questions. Do you have any family members, any other family members in the business as far as carrying on the deli business? And
Oh,
how
Jack,
long
I-
has your longest employee been there?
Jack, I fired them all.
No, you didn't.
And he's serious.
No. You know, like any family business, Jill and I are fortunate that we've been able to work together. But yes, just about every one of my family members have worked at the deli or have had the opportunity to work at the deli. Not anymore. we are now third generation. Our son is taking over the business aspect of what we do. And so we're blessed. I mean, most places don't last that long for 3 generations. If you get 3, you're blessed because, you know, these kids are too educated now. They don't want to work as hard as we did. You know, they want things happening. They don't want to work 6-7 days a week like we used to. And, you know, they're smart. I don't blame them, but they have to make changes. And for this to keep going, that's what happens. The deli is kind of losing its popularity because, like back in New York, you know, the business, as the people get older, that ownership gets older and it's passed on, the kids don't want to work that. They don't want to work it. They rather sell it and either have the real estate money or whatever it is in their hand instead of working it. So slowly but surely, that's what's happening with these old-fashioned delis. So
George, the second part of Jack's question, how long has our longest employee been there?
Oh gosh, we had one 52 years.
Wow.
I've been there 54 years. So 52 years. His name is Greg. God bless, he started when he was 17 working for my father-in-law, and he knew all the recipes, whether it was stuffed cabbage, the brisket, the meatloaves that we used to prepare, the chickens and everything else. He knew every recipe. And I forced him to retire. So I took him to the side and I said, Greg, it's time. Well, the tears, how could you do this to me? No, Greg, you're going to go do what you love. We're still going to pay you, but you're going to go do what you love. And that's how he retired. And he used to be doing side jobs. Well, he says, how am I going to live? I said, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you, but go do what you love to do, because I know you're burnt out. And you know what? He's one of the happiest guys. He'll still come in every 2-3 times a week with his wife and happier than I've ever seen him. But he worked up. But you have to know your people. You have to understand them and make sure you're doing something good for them as well as for yourself.
And how long is Martine currently?
Martine, right now we got we average 3 guys that are 40 years with us. One was 46 with us, right down the line to 30, 28, 15. And we got some new ones that have only been with a couple of years, but you know, they're going to school, they're going to college or high school just to put themselves through. So we always give that opportunity. So we've had quite a variety. But right now we got 20 employees in our current location. And the average is probably about 25 years in as far as working with us. So their experience, training becomes easy. So, with these guys, you don't have to train them. They know what to do. So I hope I've answered your question.
Mike, you wanted to ask a question. Go, Mike. Kate.
Michael. Hi, George. Love your restaurant. I've been there more times than I can count. Also had the occasion years ago to the Carnegie, to the Stage, to Katz's Deli. But I have a question. I'm a Canadian by birth, both now. But Montreal smoked meat.
Oh, the best.
It is. How come it never made it to the United States? It's fabulous.
It is fabulous. And I'm a vegetarian.
Michael, Schwartz's Deli.
Yeah, been there 100 times.
Yeah.
Right? What do they do that's different? I shake my head because I tried to bring that flavor back here. You can't do it. There's something magical that they do with it, but it is so tender. For you people that do not know what that is, it's a corned beef brisket that it's prepared the same way. It's pickled and then it's cooked, but they simmer it for some reason to perfection where it just melts in your mouth. You crave this flavor. And I know exactly what you're talking about, Michael, because every time someone mentions Schwartz's Deli, I go, oh, my mouth waters. And that's the feeling that you get when you bite into a sandwich. So,
Well,
yeah, they can't do it here.
no, they opened it in Florida. And it was there for a couple of years, but it just didn't last. Of course, COVID came too.
Yeah. Oh,
They've
it's
closed,
timing.
yeah, they've closed all the different branches that brought it to Florida. So it's strictly, and I don't even know if they have it in Toronto.
Yes, they have smoked meat in Toronto. Maybe it's shipped in from Montreal. I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
very good.
I
And
don't know.
when I go fishing in the summer, we land in Winnipeg to go to Northwest Ontario. And at Safeway, they have in the counter Montreal style smoked meat. Past Winnipeg, I don't think you can find it.
Have you tried it?
Very.
Have you tried it in?
Oh, I've tried it. Oh, yes, I get it from my boys. They're all from Phoenix here. They didn't know what it was, but they all loved it.
Oh,
I'm
fantastic.
gonna have you bring us some back next time you go.
That's a good idea.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, delicious. We love
Ano-
it.
Another question.
Yes.
Do I see your father's name up in Chabad?
Mhm. Everybody.
Okay.
My father-in-law, Jack, Jill's dad, was very involved. I think every synagogue has benefited from that guy's generosity. I'm touched.
Well, it didn't go unnoticed.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm very honored. I tell you, you learn from the best. And I want to say, I could not have picked a better person. Thank you. Good.
I have a question. What things in the deli are made from scratch? Because you said the corned beef is not. So what items are?
Well, corned beef, the corned beef is pickled and cooked by a company. They used all the companies that are servicing us, because we use such large volume, they're pickled and prepared somewhere else and shipped to us ready to go. But they use our recipes that we designate, that we pick, because the flavor. We use real pastrami, we use real corned beef brisket, whereas others try to cut corners and use other pieces of or kinds of meats. So yes, for us to be able to do and survive, we've been successful in shopping centers, high volume places. We have to select the people that are going to service us because our name is on it. It doesn't matter who makes it, our name is on it. So we try, listen, I've learned from the best, as I said, you don't skimp. You don't, because once you do that, as you all well know, and I'm sure you've been to places, as soon as they start changing, you say, they lost it. And that's what happens. But, we make our own coleslaw. We can't make the potato salad because we go through so much. So we have a company that makes that for us. But you have to understand, if you've not been to our deli, it's cafeteria style. Okay, why? Because we want you to come through and get your food and immediately sit and enjoy it while it's still hot. And that's been the situation. You either go to a sit-down restaurant or you go to a restaurant kind of like ours. There isn't anything else like it that has been able to survive in Phoenix like our own. There's others that, other delis in town, and they do a great job with what they do. But, once again, location, right? So, but there's nothing heartwarming as to getting your customers, your loyal customers, to come back and follow you. So
Can I add to the stuff that we
Yeah.
make? So we also make our own, well, like George said, we make our own coleslaw, we make our own beef stew, we make our own meatloaf, we make our own
Soups.
pasta salad, our own
Yeah,
carrot
soup.
salad. All our soups are homemade. We make matzo ball soup, chicken noodle soup, vegetable
cabbage.
stuffed cabbage
Tuna
every
salad.
day. Tuna salad, chicken salad, egg
Egg
salad.
salad.
Thank you, Pinky. So all of that's made in-house. We don't get any of it commercial made. It's all homemade.
Do you sell like pastrami by the pound?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. You know, it's a shame that that's the way Deli started. It was we used to have at the location where I started a 20-foot deli counter. And everything was displayed in there. And over the years, the grocery stores started competing and they wanted that part of it. So that kind of changed the delis a little bit. You know, even Costco tried to get involved in trying to do that. So it's very competitive and trying to do it, but still no one makes the product the way we make it. It's hard to get that flavor.
Where do you get your rye bread?
Don't
give away the
Yeah, it's a secret. See, he doesn't want me to share that with you. Noble bread. You want to know something? Those of you that have lived here in town for a long, long time, there was a bakery by the name of Garcia's Bakery for many, many years that was
A
here.
lot of heads bobbing.
And there was, they did just outstanding. That bakery serviced us for over 40 years, actually closer to 50 years. And what people don't know is that bakery was started by Jill's father, Jack. And that's how Garcia's Bakery became Garcia's Bakery. He started making his own bread for his own store. And a baker has to work all night to put that product out the next day. Jack was burning the candle at both ends. So he had the bakery at night, during the day he had the restaurants, and then he had catering. So he was getting very tired of doing that. So one day he and his friends were playing cards, and he turns to Jack Harsh and he says, "Jack, why don't you buy my bakery?" And Jack says, "I don't have any money." He says, "How much you got in your pocket?" He says, "The only thing is you're going to service me my restaurants for as long as you can." And that was the only stipulation. And that was the deal that was struck, and they shook hands on it. And that's how the story of Garcia's Bakery became our bread. They used to make great product. And, as time went on, things changed and it became difficult for those bakeries to survive because they were specialty bakeries. And, they survive in New York, but here, things change, the demographics change. So location makes a big difference.
Where do you get your bread?
Dan, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I had a question. Do you make something called pepper hash?
No.
The Second Avenue Deli did it. It was like coleslaw, but without any mayonnaise, more of a vinegary product. My mom made it at home, but unfortunately, she didn't write that recipe down.
That's more like sauerkraut, isn't it?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't a sauerkraut. It wasn't that much of a cabbagey type of,
No.
It was a mix of, it had pepper in it, green pepper in it.
Wow.
It wasn't, I'm not talking about shaking pepper. It was green pepper was in it.
I wanted to suggest an idea to you. We watch a show on PBS called Check Please Arizona. And it's on Thursdays around about 7 o'clock. And they have 3 guests who go to different restaurants and critique the restaurant. And it would be great for you.
Well, maybe you could call them and
Because
let
they
them
have
know.
never had a deli on. They've never done a deli. They've done all the Mexican, all the Italian, all the French, but never a deli.
That would be very nice of you to call them for us and suggest that to them. I don't think we can call them. personally.
Everybody with
We
social
haven't been to
media
the
now,
place
everybody
yet.
becomes a
We have to go
critic.
to your place and check it out.
Check it out.
Then I can call them up.
Okay, that's fair enough. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Come to our house, we'll take you down there, Nitskis.
Yes, okay. We'll go together.
There you
Perfect.
go. We'll take you.
Call us, we'll meet you there. You can get a backstage tour.
Izzy is nice enough to remind me, he says, we're located on 16th Street in Campbell. So it's 4433 North 16th Street. We got our name from 16th Street in McDowell when we were there back in the late 40s, 50s. And that was called the Miracle Mile Road. And that's how my father-in-law ended up keeping that name. Because it was called Miracle Mile, we said, where did that come from? He said, Miracle Mile Delicatessen on Miracle Mile Road. He says, people are gonna find you, and sure enough. So that's how we acquired the name. We kept the name Miracle Mile Delicatessen. And to this day, as we expanded and we opened up locations, that's how it became to be.
Where are the other locations? We're at Cactus and Tatum.
All right, we only have one. Jill and I said we're tired. No, we're down to one location. We've been at, we've been in Christown Park Central Mall for many, many years. We were at Arrowhead Town Center. We were at Scottsdale, and Frank Lloyd Wright, the Scottsdale Promenade there. We were at Scottsdale Fashion Square one time. I even had, and I don't know what made me do it, but I did it in Coronado Island. I went to California and opened up a place, and don't do it. Don't do that.
What are
We
you?
lasted 4 years and it was an experience. So, but yeah, it's now we're down to one. We can handle one, and it's up to our son. It's his turn. If he wants to do it, great. If he doesn't want to do it, that's up to him.
What are your hours?
We're open from 11 to 7, and that's Monday through Saturday.
So listen, if
Yay,
any
they
of you-
closed on a Friday, on a Sunday. Yay.
We decided ever since COVID, we decided to give Sunday off to our employees and let them enjoy their families.
So if any of you are salivating for a sandwich, you have maybe 2 hours.
Oh, absolutely. Anyway, anytime. You have a question?
3433 North 16th Street is where you are now?
16th Street in Campbell.
16th Street in Campbell.
I
Michael
come
and
from
I,
a family where dessert was always thought about first. What is on your dessert menu? What do
Oh,
you
look
have?
at you. Oh, I like that. Oh, well, you know, we have the staple, the carrot cake, pecan pie, cheesecake, or cherry cheesecake. We have cherry pie, apple pie,
And another thing that
lemon
we make
meringue.
homemade,
that?
I said another homemade thing that we make is bread pudding. We make our own bread.
Yes.
Do you
our
do your
bread
own
pudding.
baking? Do you do your own baking or not?
You know, we bake the pies there, but in the bread pudding, some of the cakes we have to get outsourced because we just don't have enough space, or oven space, I should say, to do that. So we have a bakery that bakes them for us.
Do you have
That's what we
arugula
do.
or mandel bread?
No, because children get too fat eating it.
Michael
Oh
and I,
gosh, mandel bread. Oh, that was my favorite. Oh, I could sit with a cup of coffee and have. No, those are the old days, and I haven't found anyone that has the mandel bread. But you know, the new generation, they don't buy these products.
Right.
They, you know, those are days that are gone. Even chopped liver now.
Yeah.
You know,
chopped liver?
it's just not a big item that moves.
Elaine has a question. Go
Yes,
Elaine.
Elaine.
not a question.
Oh,
We
sorry.
We moved here in 1970 and we've been to every location except the promenade.
We will.
Oh my God.
Pardon?
She said,
I
thank
can't
you.
believe that's great.
Thank you so much for your.
And not in San Diego. I don't remember that, but every single location we've been to.
Thank you so much, Elaine. That means the world to us. You've warmed our hearts. Thank you for your,
Well, we're here a long time.
thank you for your loyalty.
I remember seeing Michael's face since the Christown days. I do.
You're right. You're right. We lived right near there. Now we're way up north, so we don't get down that often. But we do get to smile on seniors.
Yeah, you
Oh,
do. You
that's
come
wonderful.
to Shabbos, you are down this way, Elaine. Come on. You are down this way.
Right, but that's about it.
We're only 10 more minutes.
I know.
Can you
All
put
right,
your
so
name
Izzy,
on the chat? Can you please put your name on the chat? And do you deliver?
we have Postmates and Uber Eats that do deliveries, and you have to go through them, but we don't, because we have such a wide variety of areas to go to that we
Limited
couldn't
staff.
possibly service, but through them, they will pick up. You order through them, they pick up and deliver to you.
Is put
Name on the
put
chat.
it on the chat. Is
It's not the same experience as going in.
They disappeared.
It's so much better to come in, absolutely, with any restaurant. When you sit down and you enjoy it, you see it. And somebody made a comment once, George, look at all these faces. They're all happy and they're all smiling. You're doing something right. So that's a pleasure.
our battery died, everybody, so we'll come to join you
Uh-oh,
in the office.
they ran out of juice, guys.
Yeah. We ran out of battery juice, so we're talking to you from here. That's okay.
With Izzy's permission, for the next month, anybody that wants to come in and says they're with Smile on Seniors, you get a 15% discount.
Oh, that's very
So-
nice.
A question
Put it
again,
in
do you
the
make potato pancakes?
We make those from
Oh,
scratch too.
yes, we do. I love them.
Is
I
that
like them
plus-
with applesauce.
is
You
that
mentioned
plus-
that you're vegetarian. If I bring my daughter, what can she eat? She's vegetarian.
Potato pancakes.
We have potato pancakes. We have a coleslaw. We have a veggie wrap. We have a veggie New Yorker sandwich.
That's good. Okay.
Tuna
Yeah.
salad, egg salad, delicious.
Nobody asked me what the most popular sandwich is at Miracle Mile.
What's the most?
What is the most
sandwich?
popular sandwich in the Miracle Mile?
Thank you.
It is the straw sandwich.
Mhm.
Okay, you heard about the Reuben. Ours is the straw sandwich. And it's pastrami piled on a bun or rye bread, melted Swiss cheese, and sauerkraut. And oh boy,
Kosher.
it'll just melt you away. If you like sauerkraut and Swiss cheese, wow. Anyway, that's one of our most popular.
My favorite sandwich is the salami sandwich, which is cholesterol heaven.
We used to
You're right.
have,
Hold on a second.
go ahead.
Myra, you muted. What are you saying? You're muted, Myra.
I'm sorry. I said, you mean you go to heaven when you eat it?
You feel like you're in heaven as you're eating it. It's a great flavor.
All right,
Well-
everybody. If there's no
Thank
more,
you, Izzy.
Thank you.
if there are no more questions, we want to say thank you to George and Jill for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
And
for
to
having
all of
us.
you for being with us. Yes, these are very special friends. And we look forward to seeing all of you, some of you at Shabbos on Friday night. And just stay strong and healthy until we meet again next month.
Yes, this was delicious.
Thank you all.
Very delicious. Thank you so much for joining
It's been an
us.
honor. Thank you.
Be well.
Yeah.
God bless.
Thank you.
Shalom. Goodbye.
Just a quickie question. Did he bring dinner for you tonight?
No, actually, we're going there for dinner, Stan. We're going.